What's up, guys and gals? It's time for another Kengan video, and this time, look no further than another tournament has started, and you guys know it. We have to do our predictions. We have to start gambling on who's going to win. Now, for those of you who don't know, we have a brand new tournament. The real tournament that has been, sort of hyped up for a while is finally underway as of, this week into next week in the Kengan storyline. So, as a result, I have always done, ever since I was first introduced to Kengan, and you guys can go back, all the videos are there to check on my live stream and stuff. Ever since I was introduced to Kengan, I've always predicted per round each fight. Now, the difference between myself and what a lot of people do is that they bet the whole bracket all the way down. So if they bet on, for example, in the real tournament, Gaolang to win the entire thing and Gaolang loses round 1, then they're wrong for round 2 and the finals, obviously, right? What I do is a little different. I don't do a simulation style. I bet on round 1. And when they're settled, then I bet on round 2, subsequently after the results take place. And lo and behold, guess what? I have an 89%. If my numbers are correct and I broke them down between Ashura and Omega since the entirety of the Kengan series, I have at least an 89.4% win rate. Meaning I pretty much know what I'm talking about, generally speaking. So, that being said, we're going to jump underway here, and we are going to be doing the predictions for the real champion tournament for round 1. We already did this sort of on the review anyways, or the reaction, but I wanted to make a separate quick video just saying what do I expect going forward into round 1. So without further ado, let's just get underway with it and talk the first fight, which in my opinion is going to be the best fight. The best fight is round 1. It is going to be Gaolang versus Arayama. Now, this is going to be a hard-won fight either way. Either way, there is no question in my mind that Gaolang and Arayama are two great fighters, veteran fighters, top-tier fighters. And I love to see Gaolang in this because people have been pushing him further down their own power scaling lists, further and further. Every single time, every month, every single time you check a power scaling debate, Gaolang gets further and further down. And I really feel like right here, he is about to come up and shine. Because for a few reasons, narratively speaking, we can say that he lost his last fight on screen, right? His last true fight against the Fang, against Aito. And then he got the ring out in Omega. He's lost the last 2 on-screen fights we've seen this man in. He's only improved. He could have potentially won that fight. Aito barely won that round 2 fight. So, knowing all this, are we really about to see him go 0-3? Really? Plus, Arayama has now a 1-1. He, like Gaolang, ironically, is now in the same boat. He lost a fight, which he could have easily won in the Purgatory matches due to restrictions in KVP. But then, he managed to beat Aito right before the start of this tournament. While still impressive, I have a couple of faults with that fight, but still incredibly impressive, and I would not say that Arayama is any slouch. He's a top-tier fighter, 100%. My point is, this is going to be an amazing combative fight. I just think that Gaolang cannot lose here. I just do not see it. I just don't. I think that we have an honest fight that is going to be amazing, well drawn. It's going to be down to the wire, but I think Gaolang wins out on top. So that's how I predict round 1 of Gaolang versus Arayama, is that both fighters, narratively speaking, realistically, Gaolang has a bit more of an edge But also, I think he's going to prove that he is the better fighter overall. A striker can beat the swing technique, right? With God Glow, with whatever, the speed, the difference in styles. I think that Gaolang just pulls out all the stops. He doesn't just stick to boxing. He goes straight into Muay Thai, and he uses a combination of both and just overwhelms Arayama by the end of the fight. That's what I'm going for. So, the next fight, however, let's get into that one because we have no information. As far as I'm aware, neither of these new characters, Seki Gaki Hiraku and Justin Kitagawa, neither one of them are Fist of the Seeker characters. So we have nothing on them. One looks like an edgy emo guy, and one looks like a dude from Hawaii who's like, yeah, I'm here for a good time. So, I have no idea. I want Kitagawa to win because I like the energy. I like his epithet of the Panther. I like his idea of he's probably going to employ some... I'm hoping for some capoeira sort of battle style, you know what I mean? I've seen that in multiple different martial arts mangas. Generally, they are done by black characters and stuff like that, but it's still a really cool style to see, the sort of breakdancing, kickboxing style, and it works. It works really unorthodox, but it works so well. I've seen it in Tenjo Tengen, Samurai Champloo. I've seen it a lot of times, and it's such a cool style to see the unorthodox style of fighting that I feel like he's going to be far more interesting than a guy who literally dyed half his hair blonde and calls himself the bounty hunter. It's just, I'm hoping for Kitagawa for some reason. I'm feeling the weirdly calm emo kid's going to win it. I want, so this one, I'm going to put my bet on Kitagawa because I want Kitagawa to win. But I won't be surprised if we have Emo Boy win it, you know? Moving down to the next set is another fight, which is what this is going to do. The reason that Gaolang versus Arashiyama is going to be the best round one fight outside of this fight is because that we know that Gaolang is a striker and Arashiyama is a judo specialist and stuff like that, right? So we know that there is going to be a difference in styles and techniques, but it's going to be very interesting on who gets the upper hand. In this particular instance, we have never seen the Titans. We've seen one flashback with Roland versus Toa. That's the only evidence we've ever seen. And another one is a flashback of Wakatsuki versus Agito and Hatsumi. But out of the three muscle guys, out of the three Arnold Schwarzeneggers, the Terminators, the power fighters, Julius, Toa, and Waka, outside of flashbacks and being told what happened, we haven't seen how does someone, a striker, how does a Ryan, how does a Gaolang, how does an Oma, how does an Agito beat someone the muscle levels of Julius? To beat Superman syndrome, like, outside of semi-Nico style bullshit, right? How to beat Waka, how to beat Julius. So, I think that this is an incredibly good matchup normally. On paper, it works phenomenally because a lot of people, some people, underestimate Waka and Julius as a result of just being muscleheads, right? Some people elevate them due to this a little too far as well. So you have the extreme on both ends. Finally, what this is going to prove is where muscles take you only so far. And I think that that's a good thing for the community to showcase. Unfortunately, Julius is here in round one. It would have been nice to see him go a little farther, but because I like Julius, you know, and stuff. And once again, he's not a meathead. He's sort of like Ivan Drago. He's sort of like from Rocky IV and stuff, he's actually a chemist and stuff like that. He's got like a PhD and a master's degree and all that stuff, right? So Dolph Lundgren actually does hold, I believe, a master's degree in chemistry or something like that, right? So it's quite funny that they're played off as these big towering meatheads of muscle when they're actually very intelligent. They're quite smart. Julius Reinhold sort of holding to that ideal. But the problem is with this fight narratively. Narratively, it also takes away from the fact the Arashiyama fight didn't matter. Because Agito and Arashiyama fought for this position, and they fought tooth and nail to get to this spot, and Agito won out anyways on the second spot. So it makes the fight irrelevant, and that's a bit of a problem. Number two is that we saw him lose. So now, Agito just lost on screen. The fifth Fang, the Fang, has lost on screen. Are we really going to bring him back into this championship that he was literally barred from as far as we, as readers, knew? Agito lost out in his position to Arashiyama, fair game, got the second position just to lose it in round one? Is that likely to happen? Nah, probably not. So narratively speaking, unfortunately, I think this is a great matchup. I'm not saying it's going to be low diff or anything like that. I just think that there's no way that Agito loses this fight. And Agito has to win this fight. And so he goes up. Plus, as a bonus caveat, look who's in the outside the other bracket. Roland. Now, the match between the two kings. Former king, whatever. But the fact is, Roland is the king of Purgatory. Kano is the king of Kengan. The two kings can meet if they just win their round one matches. So narratively, it makes sense for Agito to win. And then hype Roland versus Agito in a semifinal match. You couldn't make it better on paper. It's bound to happen. So it's also unfortunate bleeding into the Roland fight. But Agito is 100% going to win this one. I just hope that Julius has a great showcasing and shows that even though Agito isn't the muscle man and stuff, I mean, he's a big guy and stuff like that, but he's just got nothing on Julius. It'd be nice to see that Julius does have countermeasures to soft fighters, to strikers, to characters like Agito, like Oma, like Hatsumi. It'd be nice to see that he isn't just a big meat house, I punch harder, therefore I win. It'll be nice to see what techniques he's developed to fight people in his tier grade, to people in the top tier class that don't fight with the heavy hit means I win. You know, it will be interesting to see how this, the third round in round one goes down, or the third fight in round one goes down. Now going to the final fight, once again, Roland versus Ramo Yuko. Now, there are two things that some people said to me. Number one is that potentially Ramo is the third Nico. Looking a little old to be the third Nico, but maybe. It's possible, but I find it unlikely because, once again, immediately, Roland is going to be a fan favorite going forward because we know nothing about this Ramo guy from the Slaughter Coliseum. Granted, you could have an upset, and if I were to guess an upset, it would immediately be Ramo. I said that in the review. Ramo looks like the guy, the old guy, who might actually surprise people and carry out a win against a veteran fighter. However, if he does so, then that means we're losing out on Roland versus Agito. Which, once again, I would argue is sort of a hype, anticipated fight by the readers. Narratively speaking, the matchups are the problem. Julius has to lose because Agito just lost. Plus, we need to showcase the limitations of just muscle powerhouses against top-tier martial artists. And then we also need to see a fight like Roland versus Agito. Like, it's just a match we didn't get in KVP. Now we have a second opportunity to showcase it, to see it. And I just don't see an avenue where Agito wins and Roland loses, or vice versa, and we're as satisfied seeing Julius versus Rama, or Julius versus Roland. Because we've already seen Julius versus Roland. We saw Toa versus Roland in a flashback. He ended it in like 5 seconds. So we're not going to have a repeat version of the better Toa versus Roland. Plus, are we really going to see the Fifth Fang of Matsudo lose twice in a row on screen? I just don't see it. So, once again, Roland, I think, has to win this fight. If I was going to guess any upset, it would be Ramon defeating Roland in the first round. But narratively, Agito versus Roland is just too good a match to pass up on, in my opinion. So those are my predictions for round 1. We have Gaolang beating Arayama. Definitely an extremely difficult fight, but he's going to win it out. I hope Kitagawa wins. Won't be surprised when Hikaru wins in the second fight. Then Agito is going to beat Julius. How hard? I don't know. I honestly think that Agito is going to sort of dominate this fight. And then Roland versus Ramo is probably going to be one of the most even match fights. We know nothing about Roland, but I feel like Agito is going to go into this fight healthier than Roland when Roland wins out. So, those are my predictions going forward. What do you guys think of those predictions? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as always. And we'll see all of you back here for the next Kengan reaction. Because, of course, now that we're into a tournament, I'm going to be live. There's no reviews. I'm going to be live reacting to each chapter as long as we have these fights going forward. Looking forward to it. Hope you guys are too. We'll see you guys back next time. Have a good one. Sayonara.